Let me tell you an old story that happened a long time ago. But first, think about what's a school trip that turned into a total disaster? Comment, please. The senior class trip to Zion National Park was supposed to be the perfect send-off before graduation. 3 days of hiking, wildlife, and sleeping under the stars. For Natalie, it was more than just a getaway. It was a chance to be close to Eli, the guy she'd had a quiet crush on since 9th grade. But the trouble began before they even left the school parking lot. Their science teacher and trip organizer, Mr. Chambers, stood in front of the bus with his usual serious expression, adjusting his glasses the way he always did before saying something no one wanted to hear. He announced the buddy system. It was non-negotiable, safety first, groups of 2, everything from hiking to 10 assignments would be done in pairs. Natalie crossed her fingers, hoping for Eli or at least her best friend Jules, but fate, or Mr. Chambers, had other plans. Her name was called alongside Chloe Monroe, the girl who had made her life miserable since middle school. Chloe slid into the bus seat beside her with a smirk and a whisper sharp enough to cut steel. Natalie tried to ignore her, reminding herself of the landscape waiting at the end of the 5-hour ride. But between Chloe's complaints about the weak cell signal and her dramatic disgust at every rest stop bathroom, the trip already felt twice as long. When they finally arrived near sunset, the view almost made up for it. The cliffs, bathed in golden light, were straight out of a dream. Natalie felt her mood shift until she remembered that the buddy system included tent sharing. Setting up the tent was simple enough on paper. Chloe, however, was more focused on taking selfies with the mountains than helping. When Natalie asked her to pitch in, Chloe yanked a tent pole with just enough force to bend it beyond use. That night, a thunderstorm rolled in at 2 a.m. Lightning lit up the sky and their tent collapsed under the wind. Rain flooded in. Both girls woke up soaked, shivering in wet sleeping bags. What followed was a shouting match in the mud. Chloe, with mascara running down her cheeks, blamed Natalie for the disaster. Natalie fired back about the broken pole. Eventually, they had to squeeze into Mr. Chambers' emergency tent, along with 2 other girls whose setup had also failed. 5 people in a tent made for 3. No one slept. The next morning brought no relief. Despite clear instructions to bring proper hiking gear, Chloe had packed white designer sneakers. Halfway up a muddy trail, she slipped and twisted her ankle. Loudly. Mr. Chambers radioed for assistance and the entire group had to turn back so Chloe could be helped. The rest of the class carried on without them. Back at camp, Chloe's parents were contacted. They insisted on picking her up, despite the 6-hour drive. And since Natalie was her assigned buddy, she was told she had to leave too. As she sat in the ranger station watching the others head out for their second day of hiking, Natalie caught Eli's eye. He gave her a sympathetic wave. She forced a smile. The worst part? The ride home. Chloe and her mom sang along to pop songs the entire way while Natalie sat silently, staring at her phone and scrolling through everyone's perfect trip photos on Instagram. What was meant to be the highlight of senior year had turned into 3 days of rain, ruined shoes, and radio hits on repeat.